and a very distinguished business leader in India. My good friend, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, Confederation of Indian Industry, all other leaders from across the world, business, diplomats, I see many ambassadors on the call, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to commend CII for bringing together all the stakeholders on a common platform to have a conversation about reviving trade, economic activity, and the mood of nations in the post-COVID-19 world. At the outset, may I wish all of you a very happy and prosperous Navratri, which symbolizes the triumph of good over evil and the start of the festival season in India. India is celebrating 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. I compliment all the stakeholders, all the participants who have contributed immensely to the growth story of India through these years, and recognize that it is an opportune time to chart the way forward for enhanced partnerships with trusted friends across the world. This year is also special since it marks 25 years of Indian-ASEAN partnership. While the Indian-ASEAN partnership may be 25 years old, but our ties with Southeast Asia are probably 2,500 years old. India and the ASEAN relationship is forged with peace, people-to-people connect, religion and culture, art and commerce, language and literature. Our familiarity provides us a strong foundation on which we can deepen our ties further. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India's Look East policy has transformed into an Act East policy, demonstrating the high priority we give to the ASEAN region. In the 17th India-ASEAN Summit on 12th November 2020, we had discussed at length about the COVID-19 pandemic and also decided to form the ASEAN COVID-19 Response Fund, to which Honorable Prime Minister Modi had also announced India's contribution. During COVID-19 pandemic, India has shown its capacity and our capabilities to the entire world. We not only met all our international service commitments, but also became self-sufficient in production of critical medical supplies, which were in significant shortage during the COVID-19 pandemic. Products like PPE, personal protection equipment, where we used to not make even a single piece. India today is the world's second largest manufacturer. We are in fact exporting to many other countries. In testing facilities, test kits, masks, medicines, vaccines, we have ramped up our capacity significantly. So much so that with the massive amount of medicines and vaccines that India produces and also exports, we are called today the pharmacy of the world. As many of you may be aware, we are implementing one of the biggest vaccination drives anywhere in the world, having crossed 930 million vaccine doses so far, soon going to the 1 billion mark. We expect that in the next few weeks, India will have a fully vaccinated adult population, and probably another 3 or 4 months, we would be fully double dose vaccinated across the length and breadth of the country for all willing adults. Our one-day record has exceeded 23 million vaccines in one single day. In the wake of the pandemic, the world realizes economic security is impossible without health security. In this regard, India has a major role to play in order to mitigate global health risks in the future. 70% of global vaccines are now produced in India, and its prowess in producing standardized, affordable medicines is globally recognized. India assures all ASEAN nations full cooperation in generic drug manufacturing and vaccine manufacturing to meet their demands, and would urge you to talk to our industry and work with India to promote healthcare, affordable healthcare throughout the ASEAN region. In fact, India is working towards becoming more self-sufficient towards an Atmanirbhar Bharat package and program, and have announced several production-linked incentive schemes for supporting Indian manufacturing at scale and competitive affordable prices. We also have a PLI scheme in critical bulk drugs and APIs worth nearly $1 billion, and pharma drugs worth about $2 billion, medical devices worth about $456 million, which output, this is the value of output that we expect to promote in the country through investments in these three areas amounting to collectively about $2.5 billion. Overall, we have about $30 billion we have committed over the next 5 years for our production-linked incentive schemes. This is an opportunity for collaboration in pharma business for other ASEAN nations also, for capacity building and production. We are happy to share our technologies with other ASEAN countries, and we believe that business communities from India and the ASEAN region can form meaningful partnerships and share technology to make the entire ASEAN region also self-reliant, self-sufficient. Ensuring transparent, trustworthy, resilient, and reliable supply chains is at the core of trade revival. I agree with the comments of my previous speakers that structural shifts and realignment of supply chains must happen in order to hedge the risks associated with disruptions and price volatility. One of the critical challenges to be tackled is the underdeveloped infrastructure and connectivity in our region. Shifting global value chains have resulted in a rise in container and shipping costs, which can also become a vital area of cooperation. 9 out of 10 ASEAN nations touch the sea. Therefore, this region has a huge potential to become the hub of port logistics. Our bilateral trade has grown steadily over the last decade, and our current trade of about $80 billion makes Indo-ASEAN region one of the largest trading areas globally. I do believe, as one of my predecessors speakers mentioned, if we remove some of the non-tariff barriers and other impediments to trade, the trade between ASEAN and India can significantly be increased, and I hope we will all work collectively towards that. I do believe we can aspire to take this trade to about $200 billion, and it is certainly possible with the collective efforts of all our 11 countries. It is unfortunate that in the recent past, we had to deal with several restrictive barriers on our exports in the ASEAN region, particularly in the agricultural and auto sector. I think these only result in reciprocal action from other countries, including from India, and will hurt the long-term desire of our leaders to expand trade between the two countries. And therefore, I think there is need for the existing trade relationship, trade barriers, relooking at our free trade agreement with ASEAN and focusing on new rules to eliminate A, the misuse of the FTA, B, the eliminating the non-tariff barriers, and that can ultimately also lead to more confidence on both sides to reduce tariffs for inter-ASEAN and Indian trade. In order for trade to be successful, grow, it needs to be fair, equitable, transparent, reciprocal, and inclusive. Let me also underscore that if we were to review the ITGA, the ASEAN-Indian Trade in Goods Agreement, it can truly promote trade on both sides, support industry and manufacturing on both sides, and help us support each other to truly become modern, progressive economies. India has currently been witnessing exponential growth in imports from the ASEAN region, while our exports have been impeded by non-reciprocity in FTA concessions, non-tariff barriers, import regulations, quotas, and export taxes from ASEAN countries. Such a review will enable alignment with contemporary trade practices, procedures, and regulatory harmonization, curbing the misuse of FTAs, often by third parties outside the ASEAN region. This, distinguished ministers and participants, will help us to build the vibrant supply chains through deeper trade and investment relations, which is the topic of our discussion today. I would urge all my colleague ministers to support the effort for early conclusion of the scoping exercise and commencement of the Trade Pact Review, which will be in the interest of better Indo-ASEAN relations and furthering our trade to the desired levels. In conclusion, a very prosperous ASEAN is central to India's vision for Indo-Pacific region, its stability, security, and growth. And we do believe that our cooperation can increase significantly in areas like services, information technology, Internet of Things, 4D industrial era, better manufacturing practices, healthcare, startups, electronics, aquaculture, so many areas where we can work together. With a combined population of 2 billion people, India and ASEAN are home to rapidly growing markets with immense opportunities. By combining our strengths, we can rewrite and make a golden chapter of progress and prosperity for the 30% of the world population that resides in ASEAN countries and India. Let us all resolve to work together to deepen our trade and investment relations in the post-COVID world and work towards greater cooperation, strengthen our trade and economic relations, our people-to-people connect, our business-to-business focused effort to support each other. And I believe we have great times to come in the future. Once again, thanks to CII for engaging us in this very valuable conversation. And I thank all the colleague ministers for their participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you for always participating and encouraging industry and the collaboration across the globe. Thank you for the India story that you mentioned, and you always do it so very eloquently and with so especially I would like to really thank you for talking about the vaccine story and India's role in the world. You've talked about various schemes that have really that have come up in the recent past, which are facilitating Indian industry in both in India as well as to help us get connected strongly across the world. Thanks for that vision that you have given on trade, 200 billion. We will work towards that with you under your leadership. And thanks for also mentioning about trade barriers and the reciprocity. And besides the vision, you've also given us the roadmap, and I've talked about the opportunities of new sectors in a tech world. Thanks again for your leadership. Thanks again for your participation. Thank you for your encouragement, Honorable Minister. Thanks for your